Hey, what's up guys, it's Jordan. Today's the next to my Pokemon Top 5s. This is Top 5 Legendary Pokemon. So we're through all the types and I promised this video in every single one of those videos. Now of course, before we get started, two things to note. One, this list will include Legendary Pokemon. And secondly, this list is based on my personal favourites. It's impossible to list the best because everyone has different opinions. So if you don't agree with my top 5, make sure you let me know yours in the comment section below. And of course, make sure you hit that like button because you know your support's greatly appreciated. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. So because I've finally gotten through all the types, I'm finally doing the legendary video, and I love so many legendary Pokemon, I'll list 5 honorable mentions. First honorable mention is Articuno. It's definitely my favorite of the original legendary trio. I just love Articuno so much. Its design, it's just a beautiful Pokemon. It's just the ice bird. It's awesome. I love it. Second honorable mention is Darkrai. Just a scary, awesome Pokemon. I just love its design. I love the movie it was in. I just love Darkrai so much. It's just, I don't know, it's just got that scary look to it and I love it. Third honorable mention is Rayquaza. Always love Rayquaza. You know I love Gen 3. Rayquaza is just an awesome dragon-type Pokemon. I remember getting the shiny event Rayquaza recently, and I loved it so much because I had always wanted a shiny Rayquaza, and I finally got one. Well, actually, I got a couple. I was so happy. Fourth honorable mention is Terrakion. Definitely my favorite of the Gen 5 legends. And considering that there's, 13 Gen 5 legends, that's saying a lot. I love Terrakion. It's just bulky. I just love it. And my fifth and final honorable mention is Giratina. Ghost Dragon, the renegade Pokemon, is just so awesome. Now let's move on to the countdown. This is my top 5 legendary Pokemon. So coming in the number 5 spot, we've got Entei. Now Entei was one of those Pokemon I just instantly loved. I just thought it was amazing. Reason being, I absolutely love fire types. Probably my favourite typing there is, and I love dogs. Wolves are my favourite animals. Wolves, dogs, I just love them. So having Entei, this huge legendary fire dog, I loved it so much. I love Raikou and Suicune. They're both awesome Pokemon. Entei pretty much ticks all the boxes for me. It's a legendary Pokemon. Fire type. It's a dog. Awesome design. It's just awesome. I try to use Entei whenever I'm playing one of the Gen 2 games. Even other games, I try to use Entei. It's just such an awesome Pokemon. Entei is in the number 5 spot. Coming in number 4 spot, we've got Dialga. Now, I love the Gen 4 games. Dialga would have to be one of my favorite Gen 4 Pokemon, and I love so many, so that's really saying a lot. Dialga is just amazing. I love its dual typing. Steel Dragon, Dragon Steel. I can't remember which comes first, but it's just awesome. It's huge. Its design is just sick. I love its color scheme of blue and silver and whatever. I just love it. I don't really understand my logic. When I was younger and got the games, I got Pearl first, only because, like, Diamond was going to be my favorite, because Diamond was the one I wanted more out of the two. So I got Pearl first, because I knew I was going to get both, so I thought save the best for last kind of thing, which is absolutely stupid, because the problem is you get through one game and then you're like, you gotta get the other one, and it's pretty much the exact same game. You don't feel like playing it all the way through when you've just done it. So like, I get Pearl, played all the way through it, spent hours and hours playing Pokemon Pearl, having these really good Pokemon, and then I finished it, finally got Diamond, and I was like, yeah, it's great, I'm loving it. But it's like, I've seen it all already. So my logic back then was just ridiculous. But I still went through it, and I love Dialga. I've used Dialga so many times since then. Dialga's just one of those Pokemon I always love to get. I love shiny Dialga. It's just an awesome Pokemon. Dialga is in the number 4 spot. Coming in the number 3 spot, we've got Groudon. Now, I'm going to start out by saying, for the longest time, I called it Groudon. No joke. I'm sure a lot of people called it Groudon. It's just, when I saw the name, like the way it was written, I thought it was Groudon. And for a few years, I called it Groudon until I saw the anime episodes where there was Kyogre and Groudon. And so when, in the anime, they started calling it Groudon, and I was like, oh, fuck. I seriously thought it was called Groudon. But anyway, moving on from its name, but you gotta admit though, Groudon sounds cooler than Groudon. That's probably one of the only issues I have with it, is that I wish it was Groudon, not Groudon. So having that as the only thing I dislike about it, that's really saying how much I love it. Now, something else about Groudon that just made me laugh is that, like, when you get, like, between that and Kyogre, Kyogre's like the sea, the water type Pokemon, Groudon's just the land Pokemon. And when I saw, like, yeah, land, it's a ground type, obviously. But when I saw it, you instantly think it's a fire type. Like, definitely has the ground part, but you think it'd be like dual fire ground. But it's not, it's just ground type. And you know how many times I got tricked by that? Like, I just kept forgetting, because whenever I see it, it's this big red Pokemon. It lives, like, with the magma and stuff. It uses fire-type attacks. Like, seriously, I thought it was a fire type. I kept thinking it was a fire type. And like I said, I love fire types. So that made me laugh when I keep remembering that it's ground type. You have no idea how happy I was when they brought out Primal Groudon, and I was like, will they do it? Will they do it? And they did. They gave it dual fire. And I was like, it's about fucking time too. Because, like, it has the drought ability, which ups fire type moves. So this is perfect. All those fire type moves it used has stab now. It used earthquake, and then thanks to its ability, it could also one turn solar beam. Groudon is incredible. Its moves, I just love it. I remember playing Pokemon Emerald and you could get Groudon that had, it was like eruption, solar beam, earthquake, and something else. I remember seeing that and it was just like, this thing's power. It's huge. It's awesome. Look at the design of it. Look at those moves. It's just awesome. And I haven't even mentioned yet how, yeah, Gen 3 is my favorite generation. When I first played Pokemon Ruby, that was the game. That's my game. That's my nostalgia. Even though I started at Gen 1. Pokemon Ruby is just a childhood favorite. It was the first ever game I got for my Game Boy Advance. I played it so much. And when I got Groudon in that, well, at the time, again, yes, thought it was Groudon. I thought that Groudon was the coolest Pokemon ever. I loved it so much. Easily one of my favorite legendary Pokemon. And lastly, of course, if you know me, you know I'm a Gen 3 fanboy. I mentioned Rayquaza in my honorable mentions. I mentioned Groudon now. I'll give Kygo a shout out. So Groudon's awesome. Kygo's awesome. Rayquaza's awesome. Gen 3's awesome. Groudon is in the number 3 spot. In the number 2 spot, we got the OG Gen 1 legendary badass that is Mewtwo. I fucking love Mewtwo. Mewtwo is Carnage. Actually, that's what I nickname it, Carnage. It's just awesome. Design's incredible. Its moves are incredible. Its whole appearance, just the way it is in the anime, in the games. Like, seriously, in the first movie, Mewtwo was just this intimidating, scary Pokemon. It just made you fear it. It was just awesome. I loved it so much. And then you got in the games where, like, a good example of how crazy Mewtwo is, like, well, 2 examples. One example is of, in the original games, you have to beat all the gyms. Now I actually cannot remember. Do you have to beat the Elite Four and Champion before you encounter Mewtwo? I can't remember. But anyway, you really only get to encounter Mewtwo near the end of the game. And at that moment, like, you finally get in the cave and he's just this huge, powerful, level 70 Pokemon, which just destroys your team. Now, I've got a funny story about Mewtwo quickly. In Pokemon Blue, the first ever Pokemon game I played, I didn't know much about it. I was a dumb kid. You wanna know how dumb I was? I used my Master Ball and a Magnemite in the power plant. Yeah, the one and only Master Ball I had. When I realized what I had done, and I'd already saved, and I was like, I couldn't believe it. And, like, I was so far into the game, like, I trained up my Pokemon so much, I was not going to reset it. And then, so I was just like, you know what? Well, I got to Mewtwo eventually. I caught that Mewtwo with a Pokeball, and that was one of the happiest moments of my life. Good times. Now, the other thing being in X and Y, I loved how Mewtwo just stood there with its back to you. There was no background music. You didn't need any music. It just stood there and you knew this was a threat. This thing is scary. It's just awesome. I love Mewtwo so much. Mewtwo is in the number 2 spot. Coming in the number 1 spot, we've got Lugia. Lugia is amazing. I really don't have many words to explain my love for Lugia. Mewtwo was easily my favorite legend for a long time. I always love Mewtwo. I know everyone uses Mewtwo in their list. Mewtwo's always a fan favorite, and it's because he's awesome. But Lugia, I don't know. In the last few years, it's just when I've loved Lugia so much, just surpassed Mewtwo, and how much I just loved it. Lugia had to be fucking amazing to surpass my love for Mewtwo. And it did it. I love both, but Lugia is just this amazing, like, design-wise, I'll say, Lugia probably has my favorite design of all Pokemon. I love its color scheme. I love its look. It's just this really cool, majestic Pokemon. It's just an amazing Pokemon. And it's funny how, like, it is like the Guardian of the Sea, I'm pretty sure. And it's like, it's not water. Like, it's not water flying, it's psychic flying, which makes more sense, yeah. But you think water when it's a Guardian of the Sea, but it's just the little things. I really don't care. It's not like it's not awesome because it doesn't have the water type. I just love Lugia so much. The Gen 2 games always play as Silver and Soul Silver. I don't play the Gold games much, and I have played Crystal a few times, but it's the Silver games I love because Lugia is just awesome. And I always nickname Lugia Silver just because it's the perfect name for it. It's just such an amazing Pokemon. It's just one of those Pokemon you see and you love it. and I'm sure a lot of people can agree with me on that. Lugia is my favorite legendary Pokemon. Lugia is in the number 1 spot. Well, there you go, guys. That's my top 5 legendary Pokemon. So, of course, like I said, if you didn't agree with my top 5, make sure you let me know yours in the comment section below. Make sure you hit that like button if you enjoyed this video. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Thank you for watching, guys, and I'll see you in my next video.